Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life? Like you're watching reality unfold from behind a thick glass wall, powerless to change the script that's playing out in front of you? Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never discover. You're not powerless at all. You're operating on the wrong frequency. Think about it for a moment. There are people walking this planet right now who seem to bend circumstances to their will. They attract opportunities without forcing them. They manifest outcomes that appear impossible to everyone else. Meanwhile, you're working twice as hard, following all the right steps, doing everything you've been told to do, yet somehow you keep ending up in the same place. Different day, different struggle, same underlying reality. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You set clear intentions, you visualize your goals, you even write them down in a journal like every self-help guru recommends. But when you open your eyes and face the physical world, nothing has changed. The same limitations stare back at you. The same patterns repeat themselves. And slowly, you start to believe that transformation is reserved for other people, that you're somehow locked into a reality you have no power to alter. But what if I told you that every single circumstance in your life right now, your finances, your relationships, your health, the opportunities that come your way or don't, what if none of these are happening to you? What if they're happening through you, broadcast into existence by a frequency you didn't even know you were transmitting? Most people spend their entire existence trapped in what I call the sensory prison. They believe that what they see with their eyes, touch with their hands, and measure with their instruments represents the totality of what's real. They're hypnotized by the three-dimensional world, convinced that reality is something fixed and external, something they must adapt to and navigate as best they can. But your physical senses are lying to you. They're showing you effects while keeping the cause completely hidden from view. Your bank account isn't the cause of your financial situation. It's the effect of an internal frequency you've been broadcasting. Your relationships aren't random encounters with random people. They're mirrors reflecting back the dominant assumptions you hold about yourself and others. Every condition, every circumstance, every seeming limitation you face is not the source of your experience. It's the shadow on the wall, and you've been fighting shadows your entire life. Stay with me until the end of this video because what you're about to discover will fundamentally shift the way you understand your relationship with reality itself. There exists a mental frequency, a sovereign frequency, where reality stops controlling you and starts responding to you. It's not about positive thinking or manifestation techniques you've heard before. It's about understanding the hidden mechanics of consciousness, the dimensional structure most people never access, and the precise method for tuning into a frequency where you become the deliberate cause rather than the helpless effect. The question is, are you ready to stop being controlled by reality and start operating from the level where you design it? If you want to continue exploring these concepts, if you're drawn to content that goes beyond what the mainstream will tell you, subscribe to the channel. This is where we dive into the truths that remain invisible to most people. Now, I want to go even deeper into what this sovereign frequency actually represents, because understanding its true nature changes everything about the decisions you make from this moment forward. Beyond the three-dimensional world you navigate every day exists something most people never discover in their entire lifetime, a fourth dimension where the rules of time completely dissolve. In this dimension, everything you think of as past, present, and future exists simultaneously in one eternal now. It's not sequential, it's not linear, it's all happening at once, like a complete film where every frame from opening scene to final credits already exists on the reel. Your experience of Monday turning into Tuesday, of this year becoming next year, of aging from one decade to the next. That's simply your consciousness moving through one specific timeline, illuminating one frame at a time and calling it the present moment. But here's where the hidden truth becomes genuinely transformative. Every possible version of your life, every decision you could make, every path you could take, every outcome you could experience, all of these timelines are already complete. They're not waiting to be built through years of hard work and sacrifice. They're finished realities existing right now in a dimension your physical senses cannot detect. The version of you living in abundance is there. The version who made that critical choice differently and watched everything shift is there. Even the version still struggling with the same patterns 5 years from now exists as a complete, finished timeline. Think of it like an infinite library beyond physical space. Each shelf contains a different film of your existence, and every film is complete from beginning to end. You're not creating these timelines through effort or action. They already exist. What you're actually doing, moment by moment, is selecting which film to experience based on the internal frequency you're broadcasting. Every thought you habitually think, every belief you unconsciously maintain, every emotional state you dwell in, these aren't just affecting your mood or mindset. They're the tuning mechanism determining which pre-existing timeline you're stepping into. This isn't philosophy or abstract theory. This is the actual mechanism behind what people call manifestation, synchronicity, or fate. You're not manifesting something that doesn't exist yet. You're tuning into a frequency where it already exists as a completed fact, waiting for your consciousness to align with it. The impact of understanding this framework cannot be overstated. Your entire journey up until now has been about trying to change effects, trying to fix circumstances, rearrange conditions, force outcomes, while remaining completely blind to the cause operating behind the scenes. Write in the comments, "I'm tuning in," if this is starting to click for you, because what comes next reveals exactly how this selection process actually works in practical terms. The question isn't whether these timelines exist. The question is, how do you consciously choose which one you experience? The reason most people never discover this truth about consciousness and reality isn't accidental. There's something happening behind the scenes that's kept this knowledge from becoming mainstream, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about the world you've been conditioned to navigate since childhood. Every institution you've been taught to trust, every authority figure you've been told to listen to, every system you've been encouraged to participate in, they all share one common requirement. They need you to believe you're powerless. A person who discovers they are the sole creative force in their own reality becomes fundamentally ungovernable. They stop buying products that promise to fix their inadequacies. They stop seeking validation from external authorities who claim to know what's best for them. They stop participating in a game that's rigged to keep them dependent, consuming, and compliant. This isn't conspiracy theory. It's simple economics and power dynamics. A society built on endless consumption cannot survive if its members realize they don't need anything outside themselves to access their inherent creative power. The transformation that happens when someone breaks free from this conditioning terrifies every structure that profits from limitation. They need you convinced that change comes from outside, that you require their permission, their products, their approval before you can access a better version of your life. They need you focused on external solutions to what are fundamentally internal conditions. And the most effective way to maintain this control is to keep you operating in a state most people don't even recognize as abnormal. You wake up each morning, and within seconds, your mind automatically begins scanning through the same mental inventory, the bills that need paying, the relationship that isn't working the way you hoped, the body that doesn't match the image you want to project, the career that feels like it's going nowhere. And here's what's genuinely disturbing about this pattern. You're not consciously choosing these thoughts. They're running on autopilot, a pre-programmed loop that's been playing for so long, you've completely mistaken it for reality itself. Your attention becomes entirely absorbed in the external world, in the circumstances, in the symptoms and effects that are playing out on the screen of your physical experience. You spend your energy fighting them, negotiating with them, trying desperately to rearrange them into something more acceptable. But what you're actually doing is fighting shadows on a wall, completely unaware that shadows have no power of their own. They're simply reflections of a light source you've been ignoring your entire life, the frequency of consciousness broadcasting from within you. If this resonated with you, if something shifted while watching this, hit the like button. It's a simple action, but it helps this message reach others who are ready to break free from the illusion. This is the hypnotic trance that keeps people trapped in the same patterns year after year, decade after decade. The journey from powerlessness to sovereignty requires breaking this trance, but you can't break what you don't recognize. Drop "I see it now" in the comments if this revelation is landing, because understanding the trance is the first step toward dismantling the mechanism that's been running your life without your conscious permission. Breaking free from this trance requires understanding something most people have never been taught. You're operating with two completely different modes of perception, and the one you've relied on your entire life is precisely what's keeping you locked into the same repeating patterns. Your natural focus is what you're using right now to process these words, to navigate your physical environment, to make sense of the world through sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. This is your survival mechanism, the part of you that learned to analyze past experiences, to predict future outcomes, that measures and calculates and tries to keep you safe from perceived danger. It's an incredibly useful tool for basic functioning in the physical world, but it has a fatal limitation. It's completely imprisoned in linear time. It can only perceive what already exists in three-dimensional form, what's already manifested, what's already solidified into physical matter. This natural focus mistakes the shadows for the substance, the effect for the cause, the screen for the projector. It sees your current circumstances and accepts them as the full picture of what's possible. But you have another mode of perception that's been massively misunderstood and criminally underutilized your entire life. Most people dismiss it as mere fantasy, as if it's just daydreaming with no real power or substance. This couldn't be further from the hidden truth. Your spiritual focus, what you might call imagination, is actually your fourth-dimensional sense. It's the workshop where reality is first assembled before it appears in physical form. Through this inner vision, you can access and explore timelines that don't yet exist in your current three-dimensional experience. You can visit realities that are complete and finished in the fourth dimension, but haven't yet materialized in the third. This isn't escapism or wishful thinking. This is the actual mechanism through which new realities enter your physical experience. The transformation from powerlessness to sovereignty happens when you learn to consciously shift from your natural focus, which only sees limitations and effects, to your spiritual focus, which accesses the realm of cause where all timelines originate. But here's where most people get it completely wrong. They think wanting something is enough. They desire a different life. They visualize it occasionally when they're feeling motivated. Maybe they even create vision boards or write affirmations. Then they wonder why absolutely nothing changes in their physical reality. Desire is only the compass. It points you toward a specific timeline in the infinite library, signaling that the reality you're yearning for already exists as a completed fact somewhere in the fourth dimension. Your desire isn't random or meaningless. It's confirmation that this version of your life is real and accessible. But desire alone doesn't transport your consciousness there. It just shows you the destination. The actual engine that moves you from one timeline to another is something entirely different, something most people never grasp. It's not hope. It's not positive thinking. It's not repeating affirmations you don't actually believe. The engine is assumption, a complete shift in your internal state of being where you mentally and emotionally occupies the reality where your goal is already achieved, where the wish is already fulfilled, where the transformation has already occurred. Leave "I'm shifting now" in the comments if you're beginning to understand how fundamentally different this is from anything you've tried before. The difference between people who successfully shift timelines and those who remain stuck in the same repeating patterns comes down to precision. You can't access the sovereign frequency with vague intentions or scattered focus. You need surgical clarity about exactly which reality you're selecting from the infinite library. Now, most people sabotage themselves before they even begin because they approach this work with abstractions. They want more money or better health or a good relationship without defining the exact destination they're traveling toward. Here's the technique that actually works, and it's simpler than you might expect, but requires discipline most people won't commit to. You construct a brief scene in your mind, but not of the process or the journey or how you'll get there. You create a scene of a moment that takes place after your wish has already been fulfilled. This is critical. You're not imagining yourself receiving what you want or working toward it. You're imagining a moment that implies it's already done, already yours, already your living reality. Maybe it's a conversation where someone acknowledges your new circumstances. Maybe it's a quiet moment of satisfaction in your transformed life. Maybe it's simply the feeling of normalcy that comes from having lived in that reality long enough that it's become ordinary. Keep this scene short and simple, something you can loop easily in your mind without mental strain or effort. The most powerful time to do this work is during that drowsy state between waking and sleep, that twilight zone of consciousness where your analytical mind finally quiets down, and the door to your subconscious swings wide open. You enter your predetermined scene in the first person, not watching yourself from the outside like you're viewing a movie, but experiencing it directly through your own eyes. Feel what you would genuinely feel in that moment. Hear what you would hear. Notice the sensory details with vivid precision. And loop this scene over and over, allowing yourself to sink deeper into the reality of it until something shifts inside you, until you feel a genuine sense of relief or satisfaction. A quiet inner knowing that whispers, "It's done." Then, and this is where the real discipline comes in, you drop it completely. You don't anxiously search for evidence the next morning. You don't keep checking to see if it's working. You trust the impression has been made. But here's where the real test begins, and this is precisely where most people completely fall apart on their journey. Once you've selected your timeline through this technique, you now have to live in two worlds simultaneously. You're maintaining an inner world where your wish is already fulfilled, where you're already inhabiting that new reality, even while navigating an outer world that hasn't caught up yet. Your physical senses will absolutely bombard you with evidence that directly contradicts everything you've impressed upon your subconscious mind. The bank account still shows the same numbers. The relationship still has the same friction. The body still looks the same in the mirror. And your mind will scream at you that none of it worked, that you were just fantasizing, that nothing has actually changed. But these external conditions aren't the truth. They're echoes, residual patterns of your past assumptions still playing out in physical form, because there's always a time lag between selecting a new timeline in the fourth dimension and watching it materialize in the third. Type, "I'm holding the vision." If you understand that this loyalty to your inner reality, even when everything external denies it, is the bridge between where you are and where you're going. This is the moment where you have to make a decision that will define everything that follows. And it's not a comfortable decision to face. You can continue believing that your circumstances are caused by forces outside yourself, the economy, other people's choices, your childhood conditioning, bad timing, genetics, whatever explanation feels most comfortable to accept. Or you can step into the hidden truth that's been operating behind the scenes of your entire existence, a truth that's both completely liberating and genuinely terrifying to confront. Your consciousness is the only cause of everything you're experiencing right now, not partially responsible, not influenced by external factors. It's the sole creative power generating every single aspect of the reality you perceive. Every person you encounter is reflecting back to you an aspect of your own internal state. Every condition you face is a projection of beliefs you've accepted as true somewhere in the depths of your being. Every event that unfolds in your life is a manifestation of the frequency you've been broadcasting from within, whether you were aware of that frequency or not. The impact of this revelation is enormous. It's liberating because it means you hold complete creative authority over your experience. No one is doing anything to you. Nothing is happening to you. It's all happening through you, from you, as an extension of your own consciousness. But it's terrifying because you can't blame anyone anymore. There's no external enemy to fight, no villain in your story, except the unconscious assumptions you've been maintaining without realizing their power. There's no savior coming to rescue you from circumstances you now understand you've been generating yourself. This is radical responsibility at a level most people will never accept, because it's easier to remain a victim of circumstances than to become the conscious architect of your reality. Your task becomes incredibly simple, but brutally difficult. You must persist in the assumption you've impressed upon your subconscious even when every external fact seems to deny it, even when people tell you you're delusional, even when your own analytical mind presents you with 1,000 logical reasons why it won't work. But here's where everything I've been revealing to you leads to an ultimate truth that changes the entire framework of your understanding. The sovereign frequency isn't some separate dimension you access, like entering a different room. You're not reaching for something outside yourself that exists in some distant metaphysical space. You are the sovereign frequency. You are the consciousness that contains all possibilities, all timelines, all potential realities within itself. The infinite library isn't located somewhere else. It's the very fabric of your own awareness. You are the awareness that imagines a reality and then steps into it to experience its own creation. The entire world you see around you, every object, every person, every circumstance, every condition, it's all you pushed out, objectified, made visible through the dominant assumptions you've been holding. When you truly accept this revelation, something fundamental shifts in how you move through existence. You stop reacting to circumstances as if they have independent power over you. You start recognizing them as mirrors, perfect reflections showing you exactly what you've been assuming about yourself and the nature of reality. Comment, I am the cause, if this truth is beginning to settle into your bones, because understanding this intellectually is vastly different from living it. If you've made it this far, you're not here by accident. Most people scroll past content like this within the first 30 seconds because it challenges everything they've been conditioned to believe about reality, about power, about what's actually possible. But you stayed. You listened. You allowed these ideas to penetrate deeper than surface-level understanding, and that tells me something important about where you are in your journey. You're ready for this level of truth. The work we're doing here on this channel isn't about quick fixes or motivational content that makes you feel good for 5 minutes and then fades away. It's about revealing the operational mechanics of consciousness, the hidden frameworks that govern reality itself. This is just one piece of a much larger puzzle we're assembling together. If you want to continue exploring these concepts, if you're drawn to content that goes beyond what the mainstream will tell you, subscribe to the channel. This is where we dive into the truths that remain invisible to most people. If something shifted in you while watching this, if you felt that quiet recognition of truth when you heard it, let me know by dropping a comment saying, "This message was meant for me." There's something powerful about declaring your recognition when you encounter knowledge that's been waiting for you to find it. And if this resonated, hit the like button. It's a simple action, but it helps this message reach others who are ready to discover what's been hidden from them. There's a video right here that takes what we've covered today and applies it to something most people get completely wrong: the relationship between your internal assumptions and the external world that mirrors them back. Click and continue with me over there, because what you're about to learn builds directly on everything you just discovered.